Yo, yo, yo. And I have not unmuted myself. There we go. And we are live. Caught you by surprise. Oh, I should rap.
Yeah, go for
What's up,
it.
brother? How are you, Troy?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining the stream today. I hope everybody can hear me. We got my brother in the background, and hopefully he'll let us know in the chat. Let me know in the chat, brother, if you can hear me, or if anyone else is watching. Feel free to let me know if our volume is good, and we'll adjust to make sure you're good. So, um, a little brief introduction for those that are watching for the first time. Um, Obviously, I go by Art the Bars, and I am your host for today. And what I've been doing for the past, I don't know, since COVID became a thing, is that I've been streaming, and I've been streaming video games predominantly. I've also co-hosted a podcast virtually through with a number of good friends and whatnot. And we're on kind of sabbatical right now, and I figured, you know what, I got a lot of good people that I can really engage and have a fruitful discussion. Especially right now that uh we can hear. Great. Thanks. So I'm just excited just to be able to just be in community, even if it's digitally, even if it's virtually. And I got my good friend Troy with us who will engage in the conversation today and talk about whether chivalry is dead. I've always
It's
wanted to
not.
jump into this conversation because I don't know. I felt like it's I mean I'm not going to spoil what my opinion are just yet, but let me introduce Troy Anthony real quick, and then he'll fill in some gaps as I check in on the chat real quick. So Troy Anthony, I got a chance to meet him many moons ago through many different people, uh, and back in the wild days when I used to drink and whatnot. We had a grand old time, but we've developed a really good friendship, and he is actually a suit tailor and suit designer. Is that a good descriptor?
Yeah, designer clothier.
There we go.
Yeah.
And he's been able to work with a lot of industry professionals as much as far over to just regular citizens in the community. He actually tailored my jacket for my wedding. So really awesome experience to be able to go through that with him. So I'll
So
let
it
him.
was an honor to do that too. That was really cool. It was like a full circle moment right there.
Yeah, it was. It was really awesome. So Troy, go ahead and fill in the blanks and tell us a little bit about yourself for, elevator pitch. And I'm gonna check in the chat real quick. Go for it.
All right, for sure. No, I'm a clothier here in LA. I've been in clothing 15 years, and I got a text that my mic isn't loud. Can you guys hear? Is everybody here? Can you hear me okay, Arturo?
Let me turn you up a little bit right here. Go ahead.
Okay, they're saying that the mic wasn't loud enough.
Oh, there you go. You should be good.
Okay. No, I'm a clothier here in LA. I've been in clothing 15 years. I love the industry. I've seen every side of it: shipping, warehousing, make, cloth. Like so, I've seen it all. And so, I mean, really, it's funny because it started like right around when I met you, and so it's been that long. And so, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I've been in clothing for the whole time. Right now, I work actually at Ralph Lauren on Rodeo, and then I'm also helping out with a company called Smith Bespoke based in Utah. Two of my good friends, and so we kind of aligned, and we're launching a new company together with custom clothing. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Cool. Cool. That's good stuff. Hopefully, I added a little bit of volume to his end, so hopefully that helped. Um,
yeah, I got a text that it looks better. It sounds better.
okay. Great. Great. So, I'm really excited to jump into this. And to be honest, like there's a script. I hope, so everybody knows, like, in order to like develop a stream and whatnot, the time and effort goes into building out the script. But I'm also kind of, I'm also mindful that I really wanted to just unfold however it goes, right? So we've got our mock questions to kind of keep us guiding, keep us guided in on the North Star that we want to go through. But I'm also checking the chat for your opinions and your questions that are watching. I really want to be able to get your opinion that are watching, because this is a full circle conversation between not just Troy and I, but just everybody, you know. So but let's just jump in and let's just discuss the meta question, the big question: is chivalry dead? Um, and I'm gonna let you take a stab at it real quick, Troy, and then we'll go from there.
I have to say it is if you let it, if you want it to, like anything else, right? Like if you want something, then you go for it. And so if you love somebody and you want to show them you love them, then I think that chivalry isn't dead. And so, I think like yourself and me, we're both the same type of guy to where we're not afraid to kind of wear our heart on our sleeves and just show off like the person that we really are and the man that we can be. So I think that chivalry's not dead. I don't think it's dead if you want it to be. If you're the type of guy that keeps it alive, then it's alive.
Hmm, that's a good way to look at it. I I always wondered, like, what, so when you start like seeing somebody and you start dating, you start going through the whole, talking and butterflies are flowing and all this stuff, you I don't want to say you go above and beyond, but
I mean,
you
you do though. I think no matter what, your representative comes out.
I like that. You're a representative. So then what happens? What happens like a year in? Who does the representative get exchanged for?
It's that's the big question, right? And that's when this question comes up: is chivalry dead? Because is it for show or is it out of true love? Are you showing who you really are? And so, I think some people do change it up, and some people change it drastically. Some people have ulterior motives; they want to go in, and they have one thing on their mind, or some people have another thing on their mind. They might want longevity, they might want quick access, as we say. So, but I think if you're true and you want to be the real man for your woman, then it keeps going, and then you're actually who you say you are in the beginning.
So, Anka BX3 says in the chat, accountability. I'm here for it. And
Yeah,
I think that brings up a really good point, right? Is when we do the most chivalrous actions in the beginning for them, and I will say yes, I fall entrapped for it too. Like my wife she'll tell stories of like how, like, in the very beginning it was very much like the most chivalry shit I've ever done, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
still open the car door for her, like,
yeah.
I'm still a gentleman.
Take out the trash.
But I would not be surprised if I have not been held accountable, or if I haven't held myself accountable to the
Hmm.
same level of chivalry that I did before. Right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised because you get
totally.
comfortable.
See, I've noticed. I mean, look, my relationship's a lot younger than yours, but even now, I notice that it's like, okay, hold on, I'm not actively listening, or ooh, you know what? I didn't open the car door that time, or it's just like you kind of think like, ooh, like don't let it fall off. So I get it. Sometimes you have to check in with yourself, like, all right, so I'm not being that person anymore, and like why? And so it's
Hmm.
like, okay, you know what? Like you need to be, because that's who it's almost like you made a commitment to yourself and to your lady or your guy or your girl, whatever, at that point where it's like, you want to stick to it. You want to keep being that person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's where it separates whether it's true love or if it's like a fantasy or just another thing.
Mm, mm. Like the 1 year commitment from Spectrum, so that way they can,
Yeah,
like, after that they can
exactly.
spike up the charges for
The
giving you
rate, yeah.
crappy internet. So
Exactly.
real quick, I noticed in the chat that apparently my auto mod said like, "Hey, stop spamming." So I
Oh,
created an auto moderator. Like, it's a digital thing. It's not my brother. It's not anybody that's moderating. But because when I'm streaming video games, there's people that like spam the chat and tell me like crazy shit. So I'm sorry. I think B4 Godzilla got restricted. My bad. Like, I meant to like edit that. I
that's
did
my
that
little
didn't quite
brother.
work out. That didn't quite work out. My bad, man. It's all love. It's all love. But going back to the questions, right? You know, So you're saying, if chivalry is dead, it's because we allow it to. What would you say are some of the prime factors that contribute to chivalry dying over time?
Man, I think it's the world we live in. I'm not really a religious person, but I used to be. And one of the biggest quotes that I took from my days of being religious was that, we serve a crockpot God in a microwave society. And so
Mm,
I think that what that means is that everybody wants it now. Everybody wants instant gratification. And impatience is abundant in our world nowadays. And so I think that with that being said, people just they want the quick fix. They want the quick interaction. They want that shortcut to life, to euphoria, to the feeling. They want all access now instead of earning it. And so I think that, you know, like what's the other saying? What is it? Money earned is better than money won.
mm-hmm.
I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing. And so it's the same thing for a relationship. A relationship earned is a lot better than a quick relationship, or something that's only going to service you for a short amount of time. And so
Mm,
I think that when you're in true love, or when you have real intentions, then I think that's when things are actually abundant in the long run.
okay.
So I think if chivalry dies, it's because your love for that person died and you're
Okay.
just stuck, or you're just in limbo and just living.
Okay.
You're just kind of existing in the situation.
Okay. So I have a
Yeah.
follow-up question and a follow-up question to that because I'm
All
going to be
right.
building something up and I want to like straight off the bat like I love y'all. I love the community. I love men and women and those that fall within LGBTQI. So don't take me like probing and poking the bear as me like dissing. I'm just asking really critical questions because I want to be critical. I want to have like this kind of conversation where we're really really examining even the dirty underbelly of this conversation, right? So,
Yeah.
one of the questions that I have is, can women be chivalrous, and then what would that look like?
I'd say so. I mean, my girlfriend, she does stuff just like she does like intangibles. Like that, I think that's a big reason why we work. Like today, we did a power clean on the house, and she's like, "All right, I'm gonna do all the countertops, and you sweep and mop the floors." And I don't, I like to sweep and mop. I'm like, that's cool. And then the tedious like sinks and getting into the toilet and doing all that. I'm like, I don't really do that. And so at the end of it, we were just like, damn, the house is amazing. And so it's like, I think that women are able to be chivalrous by doing the intangibles. It's the yin and the yang in the relationship. You figure out what you're good at and what your partner's good at. And when they hold up their end of it, that's chivalrous. That's them being chivalrous to you.
Anka BX said yes, and she's got he or she's got the emoji eyes like popped out.
Nice.
So the question to build upon that, because I think you bring up a really good point, and I definitely agree. Like there's the intangibles, there's also like the stuff that they um that it grows out of their heart to do. Like sometimes they just my wife's never done it because I'm very peculiar about how to wash clothes. But there's been a
I'm
few
not
rare
allowed to do
times.
laundry either, but I don't like to do laundry. I'll fold my laundry. I don't want
No, she won't fold her laundry. It drives me nuts. But um so there's been a few times that she'll do my clothes or whatnot. But for the most part, what I found that she like her form of chivalry is the cooking. Like I
hmm
don't mind cooking, and I know how to cook, right? My grandma
hmm
and my mom raised me to know how to cook.
Yeah.
Now, if that's something that she wants to do, by all means. There's times in the morning that she'll make breakfast for me, and she's like, "Don't worry about it, I'll take care of it." I'm like, "Okay, cool." you know
Yeah.
um Now, to me, I feel like because the men, I don't want to say the weight of chivalry falls upon us, but I think an unspoken responsibility
Hmm.
lies in with us to be chivalrous,
Yeah.
right? Do you think, or in your experience, chivalry dies when it's also not reciprocated? So yes, this is where
Yeah.
I'm poking the bear.
Yeah. Totally. I think that everybody wants to have their situation reciprocated, and give and take is a part of being in a relationship. So, you definitely want to make sure that things are reciprocated. And I think that goes back to that point I was making earlier, where you find somebody that kind of fills the gaps in your life and you fill the gaps in theirs. So,
Mm.
and it's also kind of a red flag when somebody starts showing up as somebody who they weren't before. If
Mm.
somebody is starting to be a little more distant, or they're being a little secretive, or it's almost like they're developing a whole different thing outside of you. And if you guys are together, everything, like if you tell me some juice, like you're like, oh man, this happened, you better believe Jessica knows. Like, there are no secrets. Outside of me surprising her with something, there are no secrets. It's the same thing. If her friends say something, it's like it's our house. So if that starts to change, where it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to tell you, or just anything that shows up different, I think that
Mm.
causes you to not want to give as much as well.
Oh. Yeah, this
And
is
I think
just,
that could cause chivalry to slow down, because you're like, I don't want to do that for you anymore. You know?
or the lack of transparency that there was once. There
Yeah.
once was. I can't spoke. COVID
Mm-hmm.
brain is a thing, y'all. And yeah, I got COVID. I got COVID. It's a bitch. so um so do you think that, so you brought up a good point earlier, and I want to kind of touch upon that, is that you talked about the instant gratification, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
society has kind of moved into this like now instantly. It's like the, what did you say, the crock pot in the microwave?
So it's like we serve a crockpot god in a microwave society.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so do you think that chivalry has changed over time? And then yeah, do you think it's changed over time, and like how does technology, how is that involved in that from your experience?
So I mean, listen, we're men, and we've all kind of been the player before, right? And so, like, I think that
What?
now,
Oh no, not me.
sure.
No, not me. My wife's watching this. I've been a
I
good
think we
boy.
said how long we've known each other, so there can't
I've
be
been
any
I've been
lies
a good little boy.
in our past.
while
Yeah, you're gonna knock your hats off the wall. um, no, I think that that plays into that, right? Like, if you're smart, you know how to approach a woman differently than most men do.
Mhm.
And so that's how chivalry works in that aspect. You can show. I've even done it out of being just genuine, where you show up at first date, you open doors, you do flowers, you do whatever, you do things to kind of show up as somebody that this girl may not have encountered before.
Mhm.
And it could last long or it could not. But in that moment, it's again about the intention. So I think that if if you're somebody now and that's your goal, the short game,
Mhm.
then you can show up chivalrous and then you can go. Or, you can be a genuine person through and through and say what's like. It's funny because, like, before I met Jessica, I was like, that was dating, but I was so honest about what I wanted. I was just like, dude, listen, I'm not looking for a relationship really, and I'm also not looking for a hookup. I'm like, we can just be friends. And it was funny because I would take a while before I would get into bed with a woman. And it was weird because it was like weird for them. They were like, what is the deal? Why aren't you trying to hook up? And I'm like, because I'm just trying to build a friendship, and it's weird how in the world it even works that way for women, you know?
Mm. It's like a
So
pre-programming.
yeah, it's like what everybody, it's like a loop. Like, even in my relationship, we have like triggers on things that we're so used to how a relationship used to go, that it's almost weird for it to be going well now,
Uh-huh.
and I'm
Yeah.
sure you experienced that in your marriage,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you know?
The sins of previous relationships that we have to carry
Yeah.
in our future. It's real. It's real.
Oh, 100%. And it sticks too. Like it's tough to break those habits.
Yeah, yeah. So, before Godzilla said, "I ain't a player. I just like to fuck a lot." So,
He's in a different space.
so that brings up a good point, right? Is now, it, I guess like chivalry. It's such an interesting tool because it can be manipulated to
Yeah,
be able
exactly.
to get what we want. You said are you going to be chivalrous and then bounce, or are you going to be here and be a genuine gentleman,
Right.
um, and whatnot. So that
Hmm.
brings up a good point, but it's weird the intersectionality between how men use chivalry
Yeah.
and what their end goal is, whether it's a short goal or end goal, but then how, technology kind of throws that all off. And then don't even, we can throw in culture in there. We
Oh
can throw in
yeah,
culture in
absolutely.
there. I mean, traditionally, not in today's society, at least with, I think, millennials and Gen Z and is it Gen Z, the current, whatever, from,
Yeah, and then
I think,
Gen X and all.
yeah, moving baby
Yeah.
boomers up.
Uh-huh.
I don't think we do this. I hope we don't do this, but like traditionally the Hispanic culture and community, they'll show up to the girl's house with like a whole
Like a
group and a
mariachi.
banda and mariachi and then what happens 3-4 months later, they're either knocked up, married, or whatever, and then it's like they
Yeah.
stay stuck in a bitter relationship
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, I was chivalrous for this very short period of time and I got you and I got what I needed and I got what I wanted, but now I'm fucking hooked.
But
I'm anchored.
you got the bonus plan.
You got the bonus plan. No, those are that fine print in the Spectrum app and shit.
Yeah, exactly. May come with baby.
Oh man. So what are some, I guess, some examples? So for, especially if we have a younger crowd that's watching that might be interested in like, hey, I'm talking to this girl and I'm trying to develop some strategies, some tools, some techniques, whether genuinely or just short term, like, I'm not a player, I
Hmm.
just like to fuck a lot. Like, what are some chivalrous things that we can do? That, because I'm gonna have a follow up question to that, because I always do. What are some chivalrous things that we can do as men for our partner or those that we're interested in?
You mean like in the beginning of a relationship or
Just
anytime,
dating,
ever?
talking, just, I mean,
You know what? Honestly, I think so one thing that I love that my girlfriend does is she's thoughtful. She listens, like an
mhm.
active listener who can sit there and you could just randomly say, "Oh, I want this watch or this whatever," and they store it, and then bam, they just surprise you with it. For me, that's how I like to be as well. And
Mm.
so I think as a dude, if you are, and that's the thing too, because dudes don't listen, and so like we check out, we do, like we're what, you know.
How many, hold on, pause. How many of y'all have fucking whoop, squirrel
Yeah, seriously.
right now? Just right now in the past 23 minutes that we've been streaming.
Yeah,
It's all good. Hey,
seriously.
I have
Yeah,
to check myself because sometimes I'm like, oh fuck.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
ADHD is real. No, I think that being thoughtful is a good way to be chivalrous. Don't do the stuff that is expected. Like do those things, but also if you really want to have superpowers, I think you be just thoughtful, be an
Mm.
active listener, and be somebody who just shows up genuinely. Not because girls can tell too. That's the thing. It might work for a little while, but women are smart. They'll figure it out, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll sit there and go, "No, this dude's playing games." And maybe a girl won't say it, but she
And
knows.
she'll start doing shit. She'll
Mm-hmm.
start doing shit, and you're gonna be like, "Oh fuck, whoops, I didn't
Yeah,
mean," you know.
I love, dude. My girl, she'll call me out, and I'm like, okay. Yep, you got me. Okay, you win.
Now, admitting fault, is that a chivalrous thing? Is that a because I guess in synonymously, are we talking about like
Yeah,
gentlewoman,
I mean, is that chivalrous?
or is that just accountability?
I think it's just being accountable because being chivalrous for me isn't something that like it's not a given. You don't have to be chivalrous. You cannot be chivalrous in a relationship, and that might be okay with your partner, or it might be something your partner might be into. But I think that being accountable is always in the relationship something that is or should be required.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think chivalry is it's always that thing that I mean we're heterosexual, so for women want. So I think that we do it because we want to be good partners.
And I
But I think that I don't think it's like a mandatory thing. I think it's what you should do. Just like going to
mm,
dinner, right? You have couples that are like, oh no, we go Dutch all the time because our finances are set up that way. Okay, that's I don't live in that world. I think if I take my girl out, I should pay. There's times where she pays for sure, but you know I still try to take the lead on that. So like for
mm,
me, like I believe in gender roles. I like again though, like she likes to hang shit up, like so she'll hang up a bunch of picture frames and I'm normally used to one doing that. Or she'll build furniture and I'm like, I'm worthless. So, but I've gotten used to her. She likes to do it. And she's a
mm.
lot more gentle with the screwdriver.
Because we're like,
Yeah,
son of
I'm
a
like,
bitch.
give me the drill.
When we got the fucking nail already screwed over,
Yeah,
you
it's
can't even.
already in there. And you're like, I can go in more.
So, uh,
So yeah, I think that it's defined by what you and your partner want to be.
okay,
I think. Yeah.
okay, all right. Jaden, thank you for showing up to the stream. I see you. Yes, it's been a while. I got hit with COVID, so here we are.
How long ago
And
did you get COVID?
just 2 weeks ago. Well, 2 Fridays ago is when I
Oh
tested
man, I didn't
positive.
know that. When you said that earlier, I thought you meant like a while ago.
No, no, it's been really, really recent. Like yesterday
Got
was
the
day 10.
Amarion.
The Marion? Oh,
You haven't
Omicron.
seen those memes? You're like, what?
Hold on. So, and shout out to before Godzilla 23 for following. That's what that sound was. If anybody was listening, they were like, "What the fuck is that?" Usually,
Ah,
it pops up on the screen when I'm playing video games. It's got a I don't remember what it's got, but it's got somebody dancing.
oh, nice.
So now I guess the question I have is what are some ways that I think because we tend to be, men tend to get very defensive, right? I think a lot
Hmm.
of times if we're not in tune with ourselves and we're not, and I'm fault to it sometimes too. Like sometimes, Steph will call me out on some stuff and I'm like, "Oh, who the fuck you talk?" And then I'm like, reel it back, son.
Yeah,
let's
totally,
let's
totally,
chill it out. She's
totally.
telling you something. Now,
Yeah, yeah. There's a
um
message in that egg.
exactly, right? Now, us as men, we can be fucking dickheaded, right? Because
Yeah,
we think more often than not with our dicks,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
How would you think would be in your experience, like what when you're not being chivalrous anymore, when it's kind of fading out and you're not really doing that anymore, what's one or a couple of ways that your partner can kind of bring it up to you and be like, hey, like what's something that they can do, and we're talking about timing as well, like we're talking about
Hmm.
all that stuff.
And well, timing is a big thing, right? You don't want to wake up in the morning and your girl roll over like, yesterday you really didn't do the dishes like you normally do. Like, I'm trying to brush my teeth. No, I think timing is definitely a big part of it. But I think as you grow as a couple, you guys develop a language, right? Like so, like Jess has she has had the tendency before to kind of be very direct,
Mm.
and for me it comes off as an attack because my
Mm.
father is very direct, and I was always like, hold on, bro. I never liked the way he talked to me. So I was like, mm-mm. And so when she did it, I was like, oh hell no. But after a while, she learned like, okay, it's the way I'm saying it. And so now she's really good about finding the time and then just saying, like well, for example, like, we were on the couch for a while and we would watch movies and we were both just on our phone.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, we've just kind of gotten distant with this, like we need to not be doing that. I'm like, I'm doing work, and it's like, no, like you need to set time apart. And so that's like a good way to do it, I think. Like she's really great at finding a way to say it in the right tone and in the right timing, and
Mm-hmm.
delivering the message the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's the biggest way. The biggest for me. That's the way I appreciate it. Just you can be direct, but don't jump down my throat.
all, all of a sudden, it's like, stop that, Dad. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, fuck.
Fuck you, Dad.
Oh
man.
All right, and then what's something that's not chivalrous? Like it's a hard pressed no. People think it's chivalrous. Like you've seen movies where guys think, oh, this is the most romantic thing I'm probably gonna ever do, and it backfires. Like what are some things that we should not ever consider
I don't know.
chivalrous?
That's a good question. I could think of a lot of things, but I don't think that it would align with chivalry at all.
So we got somebody in the chat. Anka BX3 said, "What's her number? I need some advice on that. Finding that time in the way to bring up." Don't worry, follow him on Instagram, and then he'll holler at you.
Exactly.
So what's not chivalrous?
Man, like something that's not chivalrous. I think I think being too eager, because that can be misleading as chivalry. Like some guys are trying to push too hard for something. Having that impatience or not like trying to hook up, but I mean like doing stuff like sending flowers too early or texting too much, kind of like trying to be a gentleman, but it's like you're being kind of creepy. Like that's that's what I would think of, like something like that, where you're trying a little too hard.
That reminds
you gotta definitely receive the message. You gotta read the room.
Read the room. Well, that reminds me of for the Office fans, if anybody's watched The Office, that Andrew Bernard Christmas gifts to Aaron, and it's like 12 geese, and then she comes back all fucked up. She's like, whoever's sending me geese for Christmas, please stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example. Like the over gesture.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of that. I'll say that. Yeah, I'm guilty.
I have done it before too. Totally.
I totally did it in the beginning of this relationship, of this marriage, where I think year one, I was just so eager to like travel and to just be out with her every day. And I was, she was just like, look, motherfucker, I'm in grad school. Like,
exactly.
Get your shit together and wait for.
Yeah.
So, god damn it. So my auto moderator is spamming people. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh no.
It's so weird. I gotta fix that. So I guess so in retrospect, right, because we're all homies and we all we've got close friends, we've seen our friends with other people, with partners, and so on and so forth, right? Is there a place for us as males, as friends, or even women to other women, or or persons to persons, right? Whatever your homie relationship looks like, right? Is there a place for us to kind of remind, like if I were to tell you, like, Troy, like, hey, well, you're not doing that shit with Jessica anymore, like, what's up?
Yeah.
Now, is that a place for me, or is there like crossing boundaries? Like, is there an appropriate way to do that as a homie, as a friend, right?
And see, that's the meat and potatoes of it too, though. And I think that's a big part of why the common thread would be that chivalry is dead, is because culture today, whether it's music, movies, uh, just social life, social media, it all kind of pushes towards an image. So like
Mm.
women got to be one way, men got to be one way, gay males got to be one way, gay females got, lesbian females got to be one way. Like everybody is supposed to fit in a box. And as a dude, as a straight man, you're supposed to be hard, and you're supposed to be playing these chicks and blah blah blah. And like I think that a lot of guys think, especially in the minority communities, that being a gentleman or having chivalry is a negative. It makes you soft. And so then to double
Mm.
down on it, having your friends step in like, hey man, that's not cool for you to step up and do this to your girl, like, you XYZ. It's not always a common and easy thing. I've got friends that I'm like, I know I can't say that to him. And I have friends like you where I could call you out and say, that's not cool. Like if I ever saw you out doing something out of the wrong, I could definitely grab you by the collar and be like, yo, that's not, better, and you'll be like, you're right. And the same with me. If you saw me out and saw something, you would grab me by the collar, like,
Mm.
yo, you know better. Like, why are you doing that? But
Mm.
you don't have friends always that are going to do that. That's one thing in this relationship I've practiced is trimming the fat. Like if somebody is not quote unquote a fan of what I have going on as far as in my relationship and the goals and the things I want to build, you got to cut those people out of your life. You have to. And it might be hard. I mean, I've had long friendships, I've had like family members and stuff that I'm just like, yo, like I know I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm happy with what I'm doing. And so, I'm gonna proceed with this, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's that's something that I think a lot of people should practice, even if they're not in a relationship. You got to check your circle and make sure that people around you are pushing you for your goals, like whether it's business, whether it's your finances, whether it's your job, whether it's your relationship, your marriage, whatever you want. I think that part is the meat and potatoes. That part right there, where it's like, can you?
He's out.
Okay.
Oh.
So I think the beats died.
Yeah, they did. You could tell.
Yeah. So that that brings up a good point of it sounds like that comes with age. Like that age over time, it almost sounds like I don't know if I necessarily had someone like that would be able to call me out on shit
Mm-hmm.
in when I was 22, 23.
100%.
I might have one. But
I could even say not even uncles and my dad or anybody would. Like there was no one there to be like, that's not okay, or like a positive role model. I honestly had to seek that out over time in my life.
Anka BX said one of her ways is call. So I'm assuming it's Anka BX is a woman, says please call me out if you realize that I'm being a B, which I'm assuming she's saying bitch. Let me know. True black women have to be so strong and independent, but I can be, but man, okay. Oh, throwing on some other
Got
headphones.
a new set.
Just pulling them out.
That's the intangible I was talking about. She just popped it in the room.
There we go. Shout out to Jess. There we go.
My little ninja.
That happens to me too sometimes. I'm in a work meeting and she'll slip it. I got two monitors right here and she'll slip the coffee right here.
Yeah.
So inconspicuous.
Love it.
All right. Well, I think you bring up a really good point is that accountability. And I think we're kind of going back to this topic of accountability. And I think what has happened over time is that or not over time, but I think there's been this culture from men of, well, one, we're supposed to be this very machista, like very, I'm gonna rope you in the beginning, and then after that, like I'm gonna treat you subpar or even like shit.
Yeah.
And it's expected and it's anticipated, right? So it's like if I see that from you and I'm this traditional old, Mexican dude, and I'm gonna look at you and be like, he's got it right. He got it in the bag. He knows what he's doing, right? But I'm not
Mhm.
calling him out, even though innately I feel fucking weird.
Yeah, yeah, that's the
I
thing.
I feel weird watching you do that because
Yeah.
I know innately that's just completely wrong, right?
Dude, I've hung out with friends before, and I was, like, newly in a relationship, and they're like, "Yo, go get that girl's number. She's looking at you." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm taken," and they're like, "Fuck that." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Dude, like, you have no respect for me and what I'm doing at all." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Wow, dude."
That's
So
that's that lack of accountability. I mean, that's not even accountability to begin with. That's some other wild shit. That's Omicron being spread.
exactly.
Shit. So we got Anka BX in the chat saying Jess for president. So we'll
Yeah,
definitely have to throw her in the ballot box sometime soon.
she's, yeah, we should, absolutely.
Little ninja.
I'll be the first man.
There we go. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, cool, man. Well, any I think we're at a really good place where I think we were able to really unpack some things, but I really want to open up, the place for you if you have questions, or if there's something that maybe we didn't talk about, by all means. We're at the 41-minute mark. But I want to be mindful that, we can spin this conversation as much as possible, but I think at some point we're like
We didn't.
regurgitating.
I think we should close out with our big question, the
Oh,
the
that's
legacy question.
That's right. So tell me a little bit about that question. So the question is, what does legacy mean to today's gentleman?
Yeah. So it's fun. The reason why I proposed this question is because I've kind of been having this question or this conversation with a lot of my friends. Like, I have a cousin who's married, and he's like, we kind of talk about some of our friends or some of the people, and like some of the people at my job, we have this conversation because it's just kind of like, it's as dudes, we kind of unpack things
Mm-hmm.
differently in different conversations, right? So lately, what's been coming up is like, what's your legacy really mean? So like, last year and 3 years up, up to 3 years up to last year, I had my clothing brand. And because of COVID, things started kind of spiraling downward because my price point was a luxury price point. I was in the Tom Ford, Ralph Lauren Purple Label price point. And so what was happening was the sales were starting to kind of spiral down. They weren't as consistent. They weren't as frequent. And so I kind of had to I had to kind of run into the I had to run into the thought process of like, okay, am I gonna drop this? Am I out? Like, am I gonna be done with this? And that felt like failure, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, that's my legacy. That's what I want to leave. I want to build this great brand, and I want my kid to be able to take it over one day or something. And me and Jess had the conversation where it was like, okay, listen, we have bills. So like, I said, all right, you're right. So I took a job, which I hadn't had a job in like 4 years, man. I was like off the grid. I was loving it. I made my own hours. I go golf when I wanted. And so it was great. But the funny thing is, so I felt really crappy taking the job.
Mhm.
And I ended up in the job, and there's like four other dudes in the exact same position. Yeah, I had a store during COVID. I had a clothing business too. And so it was kind of like, damn, like it was like sort of a sense of community because it wasn't just me.
Mm.
You know, I was like, I'm not a failure. Like this is happening to everybody. Like the clothing industry is definitely struggling right now.
Sure.
And then this opportunity with Smith Bespoke presented itself. And now I'm able to offer a very comparable product at a much better price point. And
Mhm.
I do really enjoy working at Ralph Lauren as well. It's a brand that I've always emulated, I've always loved, and Ralph Lauren himself is a legend in our industry. So it's awesome. It's everything has really worked out. But to wrap it and bring it full circle, your legacy isn't like the money you make and the impact you have on a community or you know, anything like that. It's your family. It's how you were able to impact the people around you first. And then if you're able to grow on that, but still be rooted into the original, you know, the original inspiration to become a legend,
Mhm.
then you're, you know, like look at Tom Brady. He just retired, right? And he's like, dude, he could totally play
Almost,
for another. No,
almost.
he did. He did. He did. He officially
He signed
announced it today.
he signed a 1-game contract to retire as a Patriot.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
It
cool.
was like an hour before our podcast that they released the statement.
Ah, that's cool. So, but anyway, he, you know, his wife is like, listen, you've been doing this forever, you know, like come be with us again, you know? And he's like, dude, yeah, I want to spend time with my kids, you know, and that's him being the greatest quarterback ever is a part of his legacy. But the father he's gonna be, and you know, the husband, you can't sit there 7 rings. Don't even start this with me. Don't even, you don't even. I'm not taking the bait. I'm not taking the bait.
All right. Well, all right. Let's stay on topic, right? It's
No, but
family.
next thing you know, we'll be on Sports Center. No, I think that your legacy is your family, you know? It's your name. What does your name mean to the people that love you, the people that know the real you know?
Okay.
I think that's what your legacy is. And so that's why I propose that question. So I think a lot of guys, and we're sort of trained to be that way, you know, get money, you know, be the next Bezos, be the next Gates, whatever, especially as a minority, be the first this, be the first that. And you forget about what comes with that. And also that family is a big part of that, you
Now you
know?
could forget that. You could
Yeah,
easily like, oh
totally.
shit, I totally forgot I have a family.
Look, Jess and I, we want to be multimillionaires or billionaires if we can, but you know, our family is first. You know,
Mm,
that's what we want when we build a family together. That's the foundation to all of our success.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I love that question because as soon as you told me, I think it was last week when we were kind of like wrapping our head around questions and stuff. When you posed that question, it stuck with me for quite some time because it got me thinking like, you know, what am I leaving behind? And
Hmm.
I think a lot of that has to do with the level of pride within my name, right?
Yep. The ego.
Yeah, but I think more so it's like I think as a man, I definitely don't want to not be chivalrous, which has a certain level of criteria of of being a gentleman, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's just overall with with men, women, community members, LGBTQI, whatever,
Yeah.
dog, cat, whatever, right? Like we're I I'm a super like, I don't know, fur dad, I guess is the best way to explain it. Um, because I want to be remembered as that. I want to be remembered
Yeah.
as like a very loving and caring person. I think at the age of 20, at the age of 21, 22, like we're very dick-headed, and somebody cuts us
Yeah.
off in the on the road, and we're like already ready to throw bottles and stuff, and
Yeah.
like crazy shit, right? Like, hey, I done it.
I know. I was just thinking like, damn.
I throw my big gulp out the window. And it's just, I don't want to be remembered as that, right? And I think
Right.
I don't want my family to remember me as that.
Yeah.
And you bring up a really good point, is that there's that intersectionality again that we're talking about, where culture and technology kind of tie into it, because as you say, like, image is everything. And right now, the image, or not right now, because I think right now it's being changed for more of
Yeah.
a positive look, but I think for some time it was very toxic. I think for some time it was promoted for men to be, very toxic and very hostile and very aggressive, because that's who they as men are, right?
Yeah.
And that's not very gentlemanlike. That's not very chivalrous,
Totally.
you
I
know.
mean, listen, like being a gentleman is definitely not the most popular thing now, but I think that it's becoming popular again. I've noticed, I mean, that quite a few of my friends and family members are gentlemen, and quite a few aren't, you know, for sure. Um, but I think that overall it is something that people are wanting men are wanting to gravitate towards. So
Well, you know, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's always fun, and I love the fact that I was able to kickstart this series with you, and especially today being February 1st, the beginning of, and which really should be every freaking month, Black History Month. Thank you so much, Troy. You are a blessing. You are amazing. I love you, man.
Love you too, brother, man. Seriously.
And there's a couple of things that I want to highlight in the chat. First and foremost, I want to, thank all the viewers that jumped on. For sure, Anka BX and Before Godzilla was chiming in like left and right, and I really appreciate them doing that. One of the things that I really want to highlight what Anka BX said is definitely agree. Had to, and this is in regards to what legacy you're leaving behind. Had to have a coming to Jesus moment at the beginning of COVID. Our loved ones will be the ones that hurt when we aren't here, not the companies that we establish or that we work for. And
well said.
And I think that's a really good point, right? I don't want to be remembered to be hurt. I mean, to hurt. I want to be remembered to warm.
Absolutely.
And then Before Godzilla said it's the first of the month, so Black History Month, but it's also time to pay the rent.
Yeah, hopefully we all did that today.
And last but not least, as far as we're talking about legacy, Just for Prez. That has been
just 2024.
That has been on the chat. I think like 30 minutes ago, and it's been revolving left and right. Just for Prez. I'm really excited for her campaign, and I'm excited to hear what she's gonna do. So, with that being said,
changing the world,
changing the world one headphone at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Ninja style. So with that being said, as you guys saw on the chat, feel free to go ahead and follow Troy Anthony and just, give him a holler and let him know where you're following him from. So don't, follow him and then just be a creep and be like, who the fuck is this following me? Like, hey, I watched your stream. Like, you were cool or you weren't. Like, it's all good. We want to know how we can, better bring a good, rich conversation. You can follow me on Twitter and Discord. They are on the chat. They have been on the chat. I'm sorry for the auto moderator. Jesus Christ. I just saw Before Godzilla get spammed off. I'm so sorry. That'll change. I will say there are some toxic gamers out there, man. I'm playing.
Oh, I'm sure, dude.
And there's like, just like left and right. Like, you suck. And I'm like, so I had to.
Be brutal.
So I do want to say real quick, and actually let me pull up my calendar, because I do want to announce when the next one will be. And it's not that far off either. So it'll be, where are you? All right. So Wednesday, February 16th, we'll be doing another Twitch interview, but this one will be with Jalen Coleman. He is a local film director and content creator and that kind of stuff. So he just put out he just produced a short film. I want to say it's roughly about 25 minutes, and it's called The 20-Year-Old Virgin. So so I'll be having him on the Twitch stream and just chatting a little bit about his film, his adventures, and just overall. I mean, I've got to see this guy grow as I think I met him at 17 when I was working at the after school programs, and I've seen him grow and develop not just as a filmmaker but as a person, and it's just been beautiful to watch him kind of. I mean, just this movie, I think really, is the pinnacle of quality that he's really developed over time. And just as a business person, as a film director, he's really been very specific about it. And I really want to I'm having him on the Twitch stream. So I'm really excited for that. That's about it. Thank you, Troy, again. And
thank you.
And, I'll be streaming tomorrow, but I'll be streaming Pokemon, so I won't be streaming a conversation. I'll catch you guys then. See you later.
All right, brother.